My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions. And the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
Hello, I'm Josh Hallman. Welcome back to another Just Films and That New Release review. Hope you're well, and thank you very much for tuning in. Before I start, and whilst I've got your attention, if you could head on over to whatever app you're listening to this on and give us a 5-star rating and review, I would very much appreciate it, as it helps other people find the podcast, and it's just a nice thing to see, really. Speaking of nice things to see, this time around I'm going to be talking about the latest instalment in the Paddington cinematic universe, the PCU, Paddington in Peru. I'll try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible, as I always do, but I might touch on things that are featured in the promo material, such as trailers and the general plot and things like that. So if you don't want to know anything at all, then give this a listen after you've seen it. And I suppose I should say as well, there'll be spoilers for the other Paddington films too. In terms of the plot, then, we find Paddington still living with the Brown family in London. He's tootling along a few years after we last left him. He's met the Queen and all that. We remember that. That was fun, wasn't it? Things are a bit different because the kids, the Brown children, are now all but adults and teenagers, etc. And so there's a feeling of distance around the Brown family. But Paddington, well, he gets a mysterious letter from his Auntie Lucy in Peru, which means he has to hop it over to Peru, try and help her. And, well, the Browns go along with him because, well, they're the main characters, aren't they? So it wouldn't be a film if they didn't. So I'm going to take a look at this, the same sort of structure as the other pod episodes in terms of likes and dislikes. So let's get stuck in then. I did go into this with some nervousness. I really, really liked the first two Paddington films, and I was worried that this may fall into that, the curse of the doomed third film and the law of diminishing returns, shall we say. And this wasn't helped by the fact that the writer and director team had changed and it was slightly different. I think some people have stayed, some people have left. And obviously the wonderful Sally Hawkins wasn't coming back, which made me think, you know, have people seen an iceberg and jumped? But you know what? I enjoyed it. Yeah, I overall I enjoyed it. So let's get into that then. So I had a good time. It's pretty much recaptures everything that's good about the other films. It's just as warm and charming and pleasant throughout. So it's entertaining and it gives you just enough emotionality without the heavier side of the weight of emotionality that can come with it. So I thought overall, as with the others, it was really well balanced. There's chuckles, there's sniffles, there's all those things. I think they've got the formula for these down now, and they play the hits you want to see. So you've got the Brown family back, and they give you everything they're expected in terms of, you know, Mr. Brown being ever so uptight in English and Mrs. Brown being the emotional beating heart. But this time they bring an extra layer into it because, like I said earlier, the children are older and coming towards flying the nest and things like that. So what that does do is it plays really well into the real life aging of the cast, but also it really aids the transition from Sally Hawkins to Emily Mortimer. I have to say, I thought Emily Mortimer did a really good job. I would not want to follow Sally Hawkins, and I think she does a good job of giving us a newer take on Mrs. Brown. You know, she's different. She's just different, but it's aided by that narrative of giving that new layer to her. So whereas the first one, I suppose she's a little bit younger and it's a little bit more about her as a person, whereas this is a lot more about her as a mother, and I thought that was quite good. It gave another layer of emotionality to it as well. The new characters are great as well. So, you know, alongside the main ones returning, you've got Olivia Colman and Antonio Banderas, and they do that excellent thing that the likes of, you know, Brendan Gleeson, Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant have both done, which is they plant their tongues firmly in their cheeks and they have a great time being this big cartoonish character that adds some great colour to everything and allows them to basically not take themselves too seriously, which I think has become a bit of a lost art form these days in films and television. And I think that these films, the Paddington films, have excelled in bringing that back with those characters. So the film looks good as well. I suppose it goes without saying, but this, you know, Paddington's a CGI bear, but he still looks great. And I did watch the other ones going into this one, and it does. You can see him getting better and better as it goes along. So I guess it goes to show what happens when you give your production staff and your post-production staff the right amount of time and resource, cough, cough, other mainstream studios. In terms of the visual elements as well, the other ones, well, they take it out of London. Obviously, they go to Peru for most of the film, and I think that was probably quite the risk because the other films are really quite centred and quite London-centric on London, to the point where it's almost a character in them. But for me, I thought it kept things quite fresh and a little bit more visually fresh. So I didn't mind it. It might be because I've watched the first two and a little bit of, that much centric on one place goes a long way. But I didn't mind it. I thought the moving it to Peru gave it a new level of visual freshness, so we say. In terms of any negatives, I'd say perhaps it's not as narratively strong as the previous installments. There are elements of this in terms of the emotional and comedy beats that, for me, feel like a little bit of a retread. So on the flip side of those actors not taking themselves serious is the other thing of, oh, look, it's a serious actor and they're in silly costumes doing different personas. There's a lot of that which we've seen before in the other ones. And I do wonder if they perhaps need to come up with some new ideas. But then I remembered that I still quite like the serious actors doing comedy beats. So, and this is also a family film, so maybe I just need to lighten up a bit. But I did notice that in terms of, again, without spoiling it, some of the emotional beats towards the end are very similar to the other ones, and some of the comedy beats are similar to the other ones as well. So perhaps it could do with going back to the well and seeing what else they can come up with if they're going to make more of these. But anyway, it's not as narratively strong, and I'd probably say in terms of the comedy, it skews a little younger than the others as well, so it might not go down as well with the broader audience in that sense. Overall, listen, it's perhaps not as strong as the predecessors, as the ones before it, but that is such a high bar, and the franchise is, in a way, a victim of its own success in that sense, I'd say. Still gave me all the ingredients I enjoyed from the last time, in that we get that sweet, sweet Paddington marmalade. It's still sweet and tangy, it's starting to get a little bit of a touch of a clag in the throat, though, which makes me think I might have something else for breakfast next time. Does that make sense? Doesn't matter if it does. I thought it was good. As ever, this is just my opinion. So if you're interested, get out there, give it a watch, and make up your own mind. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.
$1-800-Flowers.com knows that a gift is never just a gift. A gift is an expression of everything you feel and helps to build more meaningful relationships. 1-800-Flowers takes the pressure off by helping you navigate life's important moments by making it simple to find the perfect gift. From flowers and cookies to cake and chocolate, 1-800-Flowers helps guide you in finding the right gift to say how you feel. To learn more, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Cue the fireplace and your favorite fall movie. There's nothing better than a cozy evening at home with a glass of First Leaf wine. First Leaf is a personalized wine club that delivers right to your door. Sounds magical, right? They get to know your favorite tasting notes, which varietals you enjoy, and whether you prefer sweet or dry wines. So in every shipment, you get bottles tailored to your unique palate. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/fall to get your first 6 wines for just $44.95 with free shipping.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.